Are your pepper plants constantly under attack? You've tried everything, neem oil, companion planting, even whispering sweet nothings to your bell peppers, but those pesky invaders just keep coming back? What if I told you the secret to pest-free peppers isn't in a fancy spray, but something you might already have access to through your local garden center or online supplier? After years of watching my prized pepper plants get decimated by aphids, spider mites, and other unwelcome visitors, I was ready to throw in the towel. That's when I discovered a method so simple, so natural, and so effective that it transformed my entire approach to pepper gardening. In this video, I'm sharing this game-changing strategy that has saved countless pepper harvests and turned my garden into a thriving, pest-free paradise. Picture this. You walk out to your garden with morning coffee in hand, excited to check on your pepper plants, only to find leaves covered in tiny green aphids or delicate webs indicating spider mite infestations. The frustration is real, and if you're watching this video, you've probably experienced this exact scenario. My pepper plants were under constant siege from a rotating cast of pests that seemed to have a personal vendetta against my harvest dreams. The damage was heartbreaking. Curled leaves, stunted growth, and peppers that never reached their full potential became the norm rather than the exception. What made it worse was watching other gardeners in my community struggle with the same issues, trying method after method with limited success. We were all fighting the same battle, armed with traditional weapons that simply weren't winning the war. The urgency became clear when I realized that every day of inaction meant more damage, more stress on the plants, and ultimately, a smaller harvest. Time was running out, and my peppers needed a hero. They just didn't know it would come in such an unexpected form. Like most dedicated gardeners, I had an arsenal of conventional pest control methods at my disposal. Neem oil was my first go-to, and while it provided temporary relief, the pests always seemed to return with a vengeance within days. The oil application was labor-intensive, requiring frequent reapplication, and often left my plants looking less than pristine. Insecticidal soap sprays followed the same disappointing pattern. They worked initially, washing away aphids and disrupting spider mite colonies, but the relief was short-lived. The soap required perfect timing and coverage, and missing even small areas meant the pests could quickly re-establish their populations. The constant spraying also began to feel like I was treating symptoms rather than addressing the root cause of the problem. Companion planting with marigolds and other pest deterrent plants showed promise, but honestly, the protection was inconsistent and pretty localized. While some areas of my garden benefited, the pests just moved right over to the unprotected sections. Sticky traps caught some flying insects, but they really did nothing for the crawling pests that were doing the most damage to my pepper plants. The breaking point came when I realized I was spending more time fighting pests than actually enjoying my garden. Each method needed constant vigilance, repeated applications, and still delivered inconsistent results. There had to be a better way, and I was determined to find it. The solution that changed everything wasn't found in a gardening store or agricultural supply catalog. It was a living army of tiny, spotted warriors ladybugs. Not just any ladybugs, but strategically purchased and properly released beneficial insects that would patrol my pepper plants like dedicated security guards. The science behind this method is beautifully simple yet remarkably effective. Ladybugs are voracious predators, with a single adult capable of consuming up to 50 aphids per day. When you multiply this by hundreds of ladybugs released strategically throughout your pepper garden, you create a natural pest control system that works around the clock without any additional input from you. What makes this approach so revolutionary is its sustainability. Unlike chemical sprays that kill indiscriminately and require constant reapplication, ladybugs establish a living ecosystem in your garden. They reproduce, hunt continuously, and maintain their populations as long as food sources are available. This creates a self-sustaining pest management system that actually improves over time rather than requiring escalating interventions. The transformation in my garden was almost immediate. Within 48 hours of releasing my first batch of ladybugs, I could see them actively hunting on my pepper plants. Aphid populations that had been steadily growing suddenly began declining rapidly. The spider mites that had been creating unsightly webs disappeared as ladybugs patrolled every leaf surface. Most importantly, my pepper plants began showing signs of recovery. New growth appeared cleaner, leaves unfurled without damage, and the overall health of the plants improved dramatically. Successfully implementing this ladybug strategy requires attention to timing, preparation, and technique. The foundation of success lies in understanding that ladybugs are living creatures with specific needs and behaviors that must be respected for the method to work effectively. Timing is absolutely critical for ladybug releases. Plan your release for late evening or dusk when temperatures are cooler and humidity is higher. This timing reduces the likelihood that your newly released ladybugs will immediately fly away in search of more favorable conditions. Avoid releasing during hot, sunny periods when ladybugs are more likely to disperse before establishing themselves in your garden. Preparation begins several hours before release. Thoroughly mist your pepper plants with water, creating a humid microenvironment that ladybugs find attractive. This moisture also provides the hydration they need after their journey to your garden. Pay special attention to the undersides of leaves where many pests hide. This is where you want ladybugs to focus their hunting efforts. So, if you're purchasing ladybugs, they typically arrive in a refrigerated state that keeps them dormant. You want to remove them from refrigeration about 30 minutes before release, just to allow them to become active gradually. It's important to handle the container gently and avoid exposing them to sudden temperature changes, since that could really stress or even kill them. The actual release should be, gentle and strategic. Rather than dumping all the ladybugs in one location, it's best to distribute them throughout your pepper garden. Focus on areas where you've noticed pest activity, but also release some near-healthy plants to help establish preventive populations. Just open the container near the base of plants and let the ladybugs emerge naturally, rather than shaking them out forcefully. Success really depends on making sure there are enough food sources for your ladybug population. If your pest infestation is light, you might want to supplement with pollen-rich flowers planted nearby. Marigolds, alyssum, and other small-flowered plants provide alternative nutrition that helps sustain ladybug populations between pest outbreaks. The benefits of establishing a healthy ladybug population really extend far beyond just immediate pest control. Healthy, unstressed pepper plants actually produce significantly more fruit, and each individual pepper reaches its full size and develops those optimal flavor profiles we all love. When your plants aren't constantly fighting off pest damage, they're able to direct their energy toward fruit production and development, which is, honestly, just what we want. The psychological benefits for gardeners are honestly equally significant. Instead of starting each day wondering what new pest damage might be waiting for you, you'll actually find yourself looking forward to visiting your garden. Watching ladybugs patrol your plants gives you a real sense of security and a connection to those natural processes, making gardening so much more enjoyable and a whole lot less stressful. Long-term success with this method, though, requires thinking beyond just individual ladybug releases. It's about creating a garden ecosystem that naturally supports beneficial insect populations. That means incorporating diverse plantings that provide year-round habitat and food sources for ladybugs and other helpful insects. Native flowering plants, letting your herbs bloom, and even setting aside some strategic areas of managed wildness. All of these contribute to a garden environment where natural pest control can really thrive. So, consider this method as the cornerstone of an integrated pest management approach, rather than just a standalone solution. Healthy soil, proper plant spacing, adequate nutrition, and good air circulation. All of these work together with your ladybug population to create conditions where pests really struggle to establish damaging populations. The investment in ladybugs usually pays for itself within a single growing season. thanks to increased harvest yields and a reduced need for other pest control measures. But, honestly, more importantly, you'll have set up a foundation for natural pest management that keeps providing benefits year after year as beneficial insect populations become established in your garden ecosystem. Implementing this strategy successfully requires understanding your local conditions and adapting the approach accordingly. Different regions face different pest pressures, and what works perfectly in one climate may need modification in another. Start with a small test release to observe how ladybugs behave in your specific garden environment before committing to larger purchases. Monitor your garden closely in the weeks following release to understand the effectiveness and make adjustments for future applications. Keep records of release dates, quantities, weather conditions, and results to refine your technique over time. This data becomes invaluable for timing future releases and determining optimal quantities for your specific situation. Remember that patience is essential with biological pest control methods. Unlike chemical sprays that provide immediate but temporary results, ladybug populations need time to establish themselves and build up their numbers. The initial investment in time and observation pays dividends as your garden develops its own natural defense system. Your pepper plants deserve the best protection available, and sometimes the most effective solutions are also the most natural ones. By working with nature's own pest control specialists, you're not just solving today's problems, you're building a foundation for years of healthy, productive pepper harvests. Ready to transform your pepper garden from a pest battlefield into a thriving ecosystem? Try this method and discover the satisfaction of watching nature's own pest control team keep your plants healthy and productive. Don't forget to subscribe to Smart Garden for more innovative gardening solutions, and share this guide with fellow gardeners who are tired of losing the pest control battle. Your peppers and your gardening friends will thank you for it.